some technical difficulties. So my name is Ron Besby. Heading up the sustainability function of Capricorn Group. But before I want to start, I just want to acknowledge the presence of our ministers. And thank you very much for taking the time to join this panel discussion. We are looking forward to your questions again. And I'm also proud to be positioned with this esteemed panel of industry experts from multiple disciplinaries, multiple countries, representing organizations, multinational organizations. So I can clearly see that there is going to be a dynamic discussion, and everyone around the room will definitely learn something new today. So yes, I mentioned, so very proud to present this very relevant and intriguing topic of unpacking the global best practices for ESG and sustainability reporting. As we all know, it's definitely a hot topic for all the industries as well as the private sector to start reporting on their responses to ESG and sustainability risks and opportunities. As we all know that the effects of climate change are reliance on environmental resources, the degradation of the social cohesion, unethical business practices has become a business and household reality, and we are all compelled and have a shared responsibility to respond to these ESG-related risks and opportunities. So, with no further ado, I think I would like to provide an opportunity for my panelists to maybe just provide some background on the professional profile, also the organizations that they represent, as well as their role in the organization. I think you will clearly see that when they start presenting, they've got a vast amount of expertise and relatively balanced views, both from the private sector as well as the new giga-scale projects that we are very excited to know more about. So without further ado, I maybe ask Reem to maybe introduce yourself and let's get the conversation started.
Thank you, Rowan. Thanks for the invitation to talk to the panel. So my name is Rita Sharif. I head up strategy and innovation and brand at Bank, Pan-African Investment Bank. Namibia, but also a range of around Africa. As part of my team, I drive strategy and sustainability. As the link between us and group was driving the ESG frameworks for sustainable finance, developing the market community as well. And then what I also like to call my side hustle is that I participate a lot of policy research, policy related goals.
Six key categories, including my name is Michael Sylvester. This is Nick Last 25 years working in financial markets, a large part working with organisations to help them through their sustainability journey, no matter where they are, where they begin, how early they are, how advanced they are in their current. And this has been global. A great opportunity to do that. Our organisation has sustainability solutions across a broad part of the economy. We have 5 divisions that work with our clients on sustainability goals. These include market intelligence and data, the goals, business data points, companies' finances, as well as their asset and data, and business and
and then we also look at
many of you with our rating business,
and then we also
credit rating business. Credit rating is also where they're from, credit rating, and the index business as well has large exposures through the S&P 500, main investors, but also sustainability indices. So we'll talk more about how companies get into those sustainability indices through investors. The other 2 divisions also have sustainability offerings that may be less well known, depending on what part of the market.
On the next slide,
The commodity insights business provides commodity research and price benchmarking.
how us as a company,
Large part of the world's commodities.
how us
Commodity
as a
benchmarking prices,
we are
futures and derivatives pricing, but also and today's exposure. A large part of their work is energy transition. one of the key themes of this conference is transition. In fact, the three themes that I see in this conference are transition, transition, and transition, because it's the three transitions and the last part of the business is focused on mobility. Mobility has strong ties to climate change, energy transition, transport sector. So we have research on where companies are being reduced, where companies are being sold, what forecast, whether that's battery electric vehicles, hydrogen vehicles, or internal combustion vehicles. So you bring all of those solutions together. That's my role, is to bring them together. So we work with clients, whether those clients are governments, whether they're banks, whether they're financial institutions, the largest asset owners, all of the smallest fund managers, the largest companies, the smallest companies across all sectors. They're trying to integrate sustainability into what those businesses are.
Starting with ESG investment,
That opportunity, finishing on opportunities is a good segue.
business side.
Good morning, everyone. This is my first day of guidance to the latest
This is a 2020 society.
really
And we have a very high ranking, we're very proud of this.
Thank you for the introductions. Now everyone can see that the valuable insights that they will give us today will be really something that everyone can take home and incorporate into their organizations. So I think it's good for us to start this conversation on a solid foundation, especially with bringing in a local context to the conversation. We would like to start off the conversation to what extent to discuss to what extent Namibia is in the absence of a robust regulatory environment in terms of sustainability.
Thank you. A great question. That's a question that covers a large part of what we do, and a very good introduction to some of the challenges here. Regulation definitely a driver of great focus on sustainability, but very clear that you don't need regulation in the countries in order to start the journey of sustainability. The question needs to be asked in an organisation why. Why is sustainability important? And sustainability needs to move beyond being just a checkbox approach that one person in the organisation is responsible for to do. Sustainability is an organisation-wide need. Every department in an organisation has a role to play in trying to sustainability. Their organisation's sustainability is achieving the best possible practice. What's the best possible practice? Given my role working across Asia Pacific, West Africa, working with countries from New Zealand all the way across to Turkey, I see a wide range. One, that countries' expectations are, practices are on sustainability. And I often get asked the question, we localise the sustainability practices to account for what that country is capable of doing, or should we apply a global best practice standard? And if you think about that question, by saying you will change the standards, lower the standards from global best practice to apply to your country's current position, you're saying your current position is good. Where is the incentive to improve? You're also accepting that a lower level of human rights, of protection from water, of pollution, of human capital development, of governance, at lower levels than best practice are acceptable. And then you need to ask, are you sending the right message? We apply global best practice standard analysis for all countries and all companies. But we don't expect every company to be global best practice at the start. It's important to remember that sustainability is a journey. And that journey begins at the very first stages of understanding what your exposure is, and then working through comply with regulations that are the first global human protection. Ryan asked a big question about what do I see in the countries I'm involved in. I live in Australia, in Sydney, which has a well advanced sustainability expectation. In fact, mandatory reporting for climate change is in consultation at the moment and likely to come into effect. So that's the regulatory process. But even before regulation, there were other stakeholders that were pushing for greater sustainability, both externally and internally. Remember, sustainability is not just about meeting investment plans, it's not just about meeting the regulatory program, it's about running your company as sustainably as possible, which is shown to attract top talent, which is shown to appeal to customers. Sustainability is about better products, about better work environments, safer work environments. It's about safer local communities. All practices that are important for every country. Other examples, which I think are also tell a bit story, is the Philippines. Because the Philippines is an emerging market in Asia Pacific, and yet was one of the countries to most quickly adopt sustainability practices, driven by the large banks. And then we saw regulatory regime follow the sustainability practices, and that excelled and increased the focus on sustainability. Similarly, across the countries that I work with in Africa, I see a wide range. But coming back to stress that point, the standardization, global standardization allows for comparability of companies, Namibian companies, as well as global companies. The expectations don't need to be that Namibian companies are excluded from investments because they have an earlier start point. These investors tend to invest by country and by sector, and they take into account the lower scores of companies in those countries. And they also look at how those scores change is improving. Because by all investment practices improving metrics.
I think there's, because ESG is now being formulated as ESG as we know it today, there's this underlying assumption that ESG never existed before. And I think it's important, in the absence of a regulatory framework, it is about substance of form, and not checking box. If we look at it in the Namibian context, our constitution speaks to environmental protection. It has defined sustainability as we know the definition today, preserving not just for the future present, but also future generations. So we have those protections in Article 95 of the Constitution. We have all of the environmental legislation that flows from it. We have our national development plans, NDP 6, and then we have our level, and all of that ties back to the SDGs. And the SDGs are embedded in the SDGs. So if any organization is confused or doesn't know where to start, it is align yourself with achieving NDP, and that will set you motion. So I think there's definitely a lot of information, there's a fantastic role to play in producing that consistency that we need in the industry. But it has to be, when we talk about ESG, it has to be something that coming back to hyphen, I think, as you rightly point out, we're very early phase. We've signed the feasibility presentation in what we refer to as a preliminary period of analysis. We're going to be listening to the budget, especially on the environmental side, and then we'll go into feasibility. Looking at about 2-year feasibility phase. At the end of that feasibility, and what we need to do during that 2-year period is to prove technical feasibility of the project. We have to prove that it's socially and environmentally sustainable. And so if we look at life and need to do that after 2 years, what is guiding us today is only ESG. It is embedded in how we approach the implementation of the project. And so we are bringing to the front environmental compliance and social compliance as two key pillars that we need to drive to reach feasibility. So it's very different from an organization that is already operational, impacting the environment or social considerations doesn't happen in operations for us, it happens now with the developers. And that will form the foundation of how we practically and sustainably implement the project with those goals as part of our DNA. But if we look at those two key aspects, on the environmental side, what we've done is we've appointed world-renowned environmental consultants who perform SLR, a lot of experience in implementing large-scale infrastructure projects. We started doing very early phase de-risking or screening of the environment, international partners and existing environmental management plan in place, and we're looking at what are those critical areas, most sensitive to research, where that will inform the project design. We have specifically looked at ISO performance standard 6 around biodiversity, how that applies specifically looking at impact and critical habitat. We have even brought forward some of the more sensitive studies, so fauna, flora, avifauna, heptafauna. We brought those studies earlier because we had really good rains and surprisingly for the area in June of this year. So we brought those studies forward. So, and we've had some early engagements with the IMC, the social concerns on the environmental side. We're really leading the charge in understanding the local environment so that we can project design. And following that mitigation hierarchy, it's avoid, mitigate, restore or offset. And it's really following the approach. And on the social side, we're guided very much by stakeholder engagement as a key. We've launched our social consulting. We've gone on a roadshow, and we're now engaging in detailed mapping of stakeholder engagement. So those are two really critical components for us. It's really part of and something like, I mean, if you look at the sustainability linked instrument, which is KPI based, in the global north, their KPIs can be way more advanced than in the Southern African economy. But in Southern African economy, what we've seen and what we've also tracked is that sometimes the KPI can be milestone based or rating based, which then supports the client on their journey. We're not telling them to make the Rolls Royce, like you mentioned, but maybe it's like start with the Toyota and then let's proceed from there. So in these instruments, we support the clients in terms of piloting and scaling their journey as well. And then obviously in our market solution, we have tools to help clients in their own ESG disclosures as well.
Available and transparent reporting. So I think we've been talking about the environment, mentioned it many times, Michael, but I think it's also important to balance the ESG factors, not just focus on environmental impact and carbon emissions, but also on governance. But I think only this is where I want to pull in again. I can see you touched on it, but I think the IFN project has significant emphasis on the social foundation in which we operate. Because without a solid social foundation, no country or organization can thrive. So I think maybe to elaborate from your perspective on your socio-economic development framework and how that aligns with your industry best practice and maybe from your stakeholder expectations. Because I think that's a perfect example for new infant industries, on the same trajectory as well as the learning journey where you are. So maybe just highlight some of those aspects if you can.
Thanks very much, Roy. So what we've done is we've negotiated a very broad social development framework with the European government and the feasibility and implementation agreement. And if you look at talking about international standards and Paris's social performance standards in particular, it's very much around ensuring that there is proper stakeholder engagement and ensuring that there is social equity, there is protection for human rights, and so on. And so what we've done is we've started out, and initially government has RMP asked for employment and procurement governance in terms of the implementation of the project and how much of that will potentially be localized. And the first recognition was if we want this to be truly sustainable, as the first project in government's brand new ambitions, and the first gigawatt scale project, we know that there is about 9 hydrogen green projects. But the first gigawatt scale project, especially in the southern corridor reduction station, I think as a developer I have an enormous role to play to support not just our most immediate needs to implement the project to help unlock the demand for lithium. But we also have a role to play in how we enable and we support the enablement of the sector. And so if you look at skills development and enterprise and supply development, which we have linked to employment and procurement, and where we've agreed to collaborate with the local government, that is how we support enablement. So when we look at the implementation of the framework, it's going to have to be a fine balance between needing to upskill 3, 5, 15,000 people for immediate placement in 2026 so that we can implement this gigawatt scale project, but equally, how do we use our time and resources in leveraging our respective skill, resources, expertise between ourselves and government, and how we begin to support the government to pivot the sector so from a skills development perspective that it's fit for purpose, not just for the Haifa project, but enabling the sector longer term. And we see that also in another element that we've agreed to negotiate about the framework is which was related to climate transformation, and specifically when it comes to competitiveness. Because again, from a project perspective, there are clear what's the word? Linkages. Our project is dependent on the availability of the public and social infrastructure at the time, and our project is on the board to accept the influx of people that we see into those areas. So again, as the first project, we have multiple, we also know the government has grand ambitions around urbanization and manufacturing that goes, we can implement 10 projects the size of 5 billion in the national park, and beyond that there's oil and gas, there's mining, there are other utilities. And so again, how do we play a role where we ensure that we have delivery of the Python project within a very, very ambitious timeline? Where can we potentially additionally take on responsibility that we can typically sit with development? So for instance, in infrastructure, we've said we will not just build the 15,000 houses for the construction phase of the projects, we will also build 3,000 houses for the operation phase of the project. Additionally, we support that we can provide curriculum in the form of technical support, project management, coordination support, especially as government builds its additional capacity and setting up the implementation of public office. And so the framework has looked at the wide list and it looks at balancing that to quick implementation because that will unlock the market, but also how we support. And I think importantly, we're very proud of the framework because it goes beyond existing legal requirements. I think it demonstrates what a responsible developer should do in cognizant of the realities on the ground. And ultimately, once we've transitioned the job commitments and the local procurement commitments to final numbers, those will be hard targets for and not soft targets. If we don't achieve those very high ambition, we will get the and we're very
It's a learning journey to learn from each other and collaborate, as everyone has mentioned. Maybe I know we've gone over time. If there's any questions from the audience, really it's time now. There's nothing like a stupid question. We're all here to learn, so really raise your hand and maybe just ask anyone of the panelists if you have any burning questions around the topic, want to understand a specific aspect of it more in more detail, please, the floor is open.
My name is Priscilla Mundilo. I am the Environment and Social Safety Specialist for the Namibian Nature Foundation. And my question is really around how ESG is really good. It's an excellent approach to sustainability. But what incentive models are being applied to ensure that we drive sustainable projects? Looking at the markets, there are no cost reduction incentives associated with thematic bonds such as the green bonds, the sustainability bonds, and investors are still really expecting market-related returns. So how do we ensure that financial resources are driving sustainability and that they are incentivized to encourage and take that hit the needed impact? Thank you very much.
Oh, that's a very good question. So I don't know if there's anyone of you that both will tackle it.
Ironically, we just discussed this morning around just what we call the premium on financial instruments. And typically, so if I start broad, right, in the global north, we see that, the financial instruments being green bonds, green loans, social bonds, social loans, they've been in existence for a while now. And at the beginning of the journey, corporates were incentivized to do a pricing benefit that was half to the issuer. Because the instrument has become actually basically like a traditional financial instrument, like what we call vanilla, that financial benefit has faded over time. But in the African context, we see the concept of the greenium actually still holds. So issuers are still given a transfer pricing benefit to incentivize them to issue or raise green or social debt. Because it's still something that, except for the South African market, the majority of African countries are still trying to get a grasp over, and we need to incentivize them, we need to walk the journey with them. So we do see that the pricing benefit still holds in the African continent.